So today we are going to work on lesson 3 of our Absolute Beginners Blender series. And this is going to be learning the first of our modeling tools. Very, very simple. We're going to get a simple cube into a simple table. So the goals of this are to introduce some basic modeling tools, but also to make a specific object to try and see if we can manipulate it in a very intentional way. So I'm just going to click to exit out of my splash screen. We start with our first cube here at the origin. Again, just like the factory default settings. Cube pops up. If you want to get rid of that, you can hit X and a menu will pop up. To delete it, you can hit enter if you want it gone. For today, I'm just going to leave it there to start so I can show you our modeling options. So with the cube up, with the cube selected, I can just hit tab to enter our modeling screen. You see all these different tabs have popped up here, these new different icons. So if you hover over each of them, you can get the exploded version, the window that pops up for what each tool is called, what it does, and a little bit more information. If you hover over the corner of them, you get this little arrow that pops up. You can expand it a little to make it shorter, or you can expand it a little bit more so you can see the name. This is a preference thing, and you can kind of decide if you can, figure out what each of them is on its own, or if you would rather have the name there. Again, this is a personal preference thing. I'm gonna just leave this up to start. Again, this is a beginner series, so that you guys can see what it is. So our add cube tool is very cool because it lets you add cubes that are of different dimensions. Of course, you can just start with the cube that's here and scale it to transform it. Very good option. But if you see, it sort of looks like graph paper that's popping up on our grid here. Pardon me. This like little bubble. You can click to drag and set whatever dimensions you want on X and Y. And then once you release that and click again, you can get your Z axis. I'm just going to make a little thin cube like this. And if I click and drag again, you can make as many as you choose. You can also hover over a shape you've already made to stack things on top of each other. I kind of think of this as like the Christmas morning option, so you can set a bunch of presents on top of each other if you choose. I really don't need all of that, so that was just for demonstration purposes. So once I have sort of a long, low cube set out, you can tumble around and see what it looks like. It's going to be sort of a square table. You can have a rectangular table, you can have sort of any edges you choose, but this is just the shape that I'm going to start with for now, the volume I'm going to start with for now. We're going to be working with some of these later. This one is really cool. Cut mesh loop and slide it. We've got bevel, which is going to be really good for your edges. It gives it sort of this smoothed, like almost woodworked look if you're working with like the edges of a table or the legs of a table, which we will. Insert faces, which just gives you more polygon information to work with. And then extrude, which is going to be very useful for us. So we have our cube. Again, you can sort of work with whatever basic table shape you want. I'll have two there just so you guys can see the difference. Matter what tool you start on, right? If we're still on add cube, that's fine. You can go to any of your selection tools. But if you go hover over your shape and hit Control R, do you see the little yellow loop that popped up in there? So that is insert edge loop. So an edge loop is literally just a loop of edges that goes all the way around the exterior perimeter of your mesh. So if you click once, you're telling it, yes, I want an edge loop, and then you'll see the arrows pop up and you can click to slide it over to wherever you want it. I'm going to do this again. And click to tell it, yes, I want that to be there. And then put 2 over there. Control R for edge loop, click to tell it, yes, I want it there. And then I'm gonna put this one over here. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this. You absolutely can be more specific if you want to, and sometimes people are. I am not doing this for any kind of engineering precision. This is just something that I'm gonna eyeball for today, and that's fine. So I'm doing 2 together, 1 apart. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Control R for edge loop, click to tell it, yes, I want it there. I'm gonna kind of eyeball over here, 2 together, Control R for edge loop, click to tell it, yes, I want it there. 2 over here, Control R for edge loop, click to select, then I'm sliding it over. So now I've done this on this side. Oh gosh, I just added another cube. I was trying to tumble, that's okay. And you can add as many little cubes as you want to, or just get rid of them. Corner and this corner, and now I want to tumble and get them on the long way. So again, I'm just gonna hover over here, Control R for edge loop, click to select, click again to drag in place, Control R, click to select, click to drag in place, Control R, click to select, click to drag in place, Control R, click to select, click to drag and place. And if you ever are clicking in the wrong place, or if something is ending up not quite where you want it, you can just hit Control Z and get rid of it. Command Z if you're on a Mac. I'm just gonna continue to add my other 2 edge loops that I need. Control R. Oh no. It heard me talking about the undo button. Get out of town. Get out of there. No thank you, sir. There we go. Control R, click to select, click to drag in place, Control R, click to select, click to drag and place. Oh, he thinks, oh, how do we get that little cube fell in there? No thanks. All right, so this is actually a really good indication for what do you do when it shows up where you don't want it. Well, we can tell that this edge loop is still selected because the points are still highlighted orange and the edge itself is still selected orange. I can just use the move tool, grab that green arrow and just push it over. And we are all set, and this is completely fine. So this is fine. And right now I have a bunch of different pieces of information that I did not have before. Let me explain. So now on where there formerly were just the regular faces of a cube, like a 6-sided die, right? Now we have a lot more face information, a lot more edge information that we can work with to manipulate our polygon and begin to make a simple table. So what I'm gonna do is go into face mode here. You can use the points that are up here, the little icons that sit at the top of your viewport here, or you can go 1, 2, 3 on the keyboard as your quick keys, but this will put us into selection mode, select mode, and now for faces. So if I go in there, you can see that that little face is selected. If I want more than one, I can hold shift and select, you know, just as many as you choose, and you can see that they pop up orange. I grabbed one that I didn't want. So you just hold shift still and you select it to get rid of it. So I'm holding shift and I'm selecting this thin edge on the exterior that I created. So it's sort of like the inside loop. This is just going to be like an inner ring of the table. And if I tumble, you can kind of see that I have it selected how I want it. All right, now we're going to work with our next new tool of the day, which is hitting E for extrude. So extruding a face separates it and puts another section in. So this is as if our table was sitting upside down on the floor. And this is just creating a little inner lip, just to give it a little bit of shape, give a little bit of something, something. So there we go. We have our little inner lip of our table, and we're going to create some legs. So I'm letting go of those faces that I had selected completely, and I'm going to select what's going to become the legs. So if you hold shift and select these 4 square-ish corners, we're going to hit E again for extrude, and the legs pull up. Now from here, we have our whole table itself. So we can hit tab to go back into object mode and grab whole objects, or we can go in and try out our bevel tool. And we can try to give that a little bit more shape. So I had these 4 selected. You can make the bevel by dragging that little joystick at the center. You can make the bevel deeper if you want to. You can give it a little bit more space, if that makes sense. I kind of like that, I think. If you go into edge mode, which is this one in the center here, you can also bevel edges. So if I go ahead and select my edges, I'm always grabbing the wrong one. That's okay. We're selecting our edges. We can bevel these as well. So again, the bevel tool is on, which you can tell this little yellow joystick bit is there. And you can make it a little bit more sculpted, a little more polished. There we go. So even just adding a little bit to it helps the shape look a little bit more refined, which I do think helps. Object finished roughly, right? We've just beveled a little bit. You can go in and bevel more. You can go in and refine your shapes a little bit. If I was spending a lot more time on this, I would probably mess with some of the proportions here so that the table legs weren't quite so wide in this direction. I might make them more square. You could do that when the edge loops are not yet extruded. Again, all of this is sort of up to you. Our goal here is flat table, lip, 4 legs. Anything beyond that is really perfectly acceptable and great. But we want to flip it over, right? So you will notice now that everything is selected, and over here in our scene collection, it just says cube. All of these are tied together. So if I tried to rotate this, everything rotates. And it is around this pivot point in the center one here. And that's fine, but that's not really what I want. So if you hit P, hang on, go back into editing mode by hitting tab. If you hit P, you can separate by what you have selected, by the material, by the loose parts. So I chose to separate by loose parts, and you'll see in our scene collection it popped them into separate items here. So I'm going to select cube 2, which we're just going to rename table. Where did table go? There he is. And we can rotate it separately at this point.